Good morning. It's always very difficult to come up on stage after a brilliant session like what Dr. Rup Subbarao just had. Good morning. A very, very warm welcome to all of you to ETBFSI. Over the last 1.5 years, we've had an inflection point in AI. The foundation models have brought in an inflection point in AI. The whole Gen AI piece has practically exploded over the last 1.5 years. Uh, it started off with a massive hype cycle, but as we see over the past 2 or 3 quarters, the whole hype cycle has started settling down. How enterprises unlock value would depend on how they execute and how they can scale Gen AI across their enterprise, across the breadth of their enterprise, be it around their workflows, their business automation, be it on their threat management, be it around IT automation or elements of digital labor, the whole gamut of your enterprise. And the beauty about Gen AI has been the extensibility of Gen AI, how it cuts across your organization. And enough and more has been spoken about this, the potential of Gen AI. I'm not going to run through these figures, but the piece I'm going to talk about is one piece that's changing with Gen AI coming in. There are 1 billion plus cloud native applications that are expected to come in the next 3 to 4 years. And that's going to change the entire complexity conundrum. And how are we as the BFSI industry geared to handle that complexity conundrum? Now let me get back to what has been the Gen AI journey over the last 1.5 years. We globally as IBM, we've done about 1,400 pilots. In India, we've touched about 700 plus clients in terms of briefings. We've done 80 plus pilots. And these, I would say, I call them the 5 truths. These are basically our learnings as we've engaged with our clients over the last 1.5 years. You may also call them enterprise considerations as you lay the foundation for scaling Gen AI in your organization. I think the first one that comes in is AI is multimodal, and it is hybrid. Your data is hybrid, your data is on-premise, it's across multiple public clouds. So it's quite natural that AI aligns to the data that's spread across silos in your environment. And AI needs to be hybrid by design. And I think this is very, very critical as you lay down the strategy for your AI or a Gen AI or an AI strategy for your enterprise. The next piece, which is again one of the most important elements, while the whole Gen AI story started off with a bang, it had a wow factor to it. The next piece that hit everybody really hard is the ROI piece. How much is it costing me? Is it worth its buck for the use case I'm leading with? So the right model for the right use case started becoming very, very important. And this became even more pertinent, or even is even more pertinent even today, is because the whole industry went into a paradigm which was a hammer and nail approach. Imagine using a 300 billion parameter foundation model for running a simple chatbot. It can never meet the ROI requirements that you're talking about. So how do I have the right model for the right use case? A simple chatbot probably can do great with a 20 billion Granite model, or it can do brilliant with a Mistral or a Llama 70B Mistral. It for sure does not require a 300, 400 billion parameter model. You're not talking about consumer requirements here, you're talking about AI for business. You're not talking about population scale problems, you're talking about AI for business. So how do I pick the right model for the right use case? Apart from the ROI, the other thing that has been holding back Gen AI from scaling to the next level, I would say, has been trust. These foundation models have been trained on billions and billions of parameters. You do not know what goes into training it. How do I trust it? How do I have the right AI governance that goes in? And we'll talk more about this as we talk through this. How do I have the right guardrails? How do I have the right framework to ensure this delivers within my enterprise framework? That becomes an extremely, extremely important aspect. I think the fourth element is about data. There is no AI without data. So how do I have the right data foundation that ensures I have the right governance, I have the right data, and this is, mind you, this is across silos. It's across your on-premise, multiple clouds. How do I make sense of this siloed data and lay a data foundation that can be consumed for driving AI and Gen AI? And last but not the least, our experience says that as clients move from pilots to production, they definitely need help. And partners like us are more than privileged and honored to be a part of that journey. Let me spend a brief moment on the IBM story on how do we deliver this story. In September last year, we launched WatsonX. WatsonX.ai is a platform that gives you an ability to manage your AI across your enterprise, be it on-premise, be it on the cloud, be it your traditional AI or be it your Gen AI. How do I have one lifecycle management platform that manages entire AI for you? Your models come in and change. In fact, there is a new model that comes in every 3 days. I can't build my strategy on a model-based strategy. How do I have a platform that's a lifecycle management platform that covers the entire gamut, be it on-premise, be it on the cloud, be it machine learning, be it the LLMs. The next piece which comes in is the AI governance piece. Now, this is an extremely important piece in terms of how do I bring in trust on the AI that I'm bringing in, especially on the and this is, while it is even more pertinent on the Gen AI part, it is as important on the traditional AI as well. This typically builds around 3 parameters, 3 pillars. The first pillar is around risk. From the banking industry, when you're doing these risk models, how do I prevent gender bias? How do I prevent caste bias? How do I bring in explainability to a model that we've created? You can't go back and say, this is a black box, it says what it says. There has to be an explainability to the black box, explainability to the AI model you're talking about. You start with something, you land up being something else. Your data sets keep changing. How do I prevent that drift and measure and be consistent on what you started with? As your LLMs come in, how do I prevent hallucination? Measure and have thresholds and guardrails to stop hallucinations then and there. Your chatbot giving out a discount to the client and it's an hallucination discount, you are liable to honor that discount. So how do I have the right guardrails to make sure it delivers what it's intended to deliver? How do I prevent profanity? How do I prevent hate profile? How do I prevent PI information from getting exposed? A whole gamut of things. So around the risk aspect. The second aspect that comes in is the compliance pillar. There is a European Union AI Act that has been in vogue for a while. We will have an India flavor of that act. Mighty is in the draft stage at this point in time. As that act comes in, how do we comply to every element of the act is a piece that you bring in as a platform. You can't have the data scientist worrying about, does this comply to point 12 of that act, or you can't get the data scientist to do that. How do you have it as a platform becomes very, very critical. In fact, on this point, RBI in August announced a model validation mandate for all the credit models that happen in the, how do I do the entire model validation for credit risk? How do I have a process governance to monitor that? How do I cover the risk elements of it? How do I do the entire life cycle management of it? Are the three pillars. In fact, that brings me to the third pillar of governance, which is the life cycle governance aspect. Now, let me come to the third pillar, which is the WatsonX.data. And this is what I spoke about earlier, is how do I lay the data foundation for running Gen AI in the enterprise? The approach here is an open data platform lakehouse, which is built on Iceberg. Your ability to run it across siloed data on an open data platform, be it Parquet, be it S3, be it Blob. It could be even a Hadoop environment if there is already an investment that has gone in on a Hadoop environment. How do you bring all of this from a siloed environment under an open data platform with a multi-query engine? uh, be it Spark for deep analytics, be it Presto for the structured queries. What IBM has done is IBM has taken and transformed Presto from a Java engine to a C++ engine, taking the structured query performance almost 10x. In fact, we just announced a few weeks back a benchmark where we beat Databricks at less than half the price. So we in for a disruption in this market on an open lake house data foundation. Uh, Let me now come to the extensibility that I was talking about. As I said, the use cases it has been art of possible in the last few quarters. One of the most popular use cases has been talk to my data. Your ability to talk to your data in the context, have a customer care piece, have an agent assist, that has been one of the most popular elements of the whole GenAI piece. But there have been multiple other things as well. And while I wouldn't say they have been game changers, but they have been elements that give you a significant impetus. And let me give you one example. And we did this for an insurance giant a few weeks back. The data capture element in the insurance industry is a very, very critical element, and typically runs on an OCR engine that mandates a 300 DPI resolution of the document that comes in. Anything lower than 300 DPI, be it the RPA ABI engine or be it the OCR engine you run on the cloud, you see a very, very drastic drop in the accuracy. We brought in a GenAI story and we said, okay, and this is a large public sector insurance giant where we said, give me all your rejects. And we picked up all of these hazy scans right from 80 DPI to 300 DPI. Our ability to demonstrate a 90 to 92% accuracy on an 80 DPI plus scans is a piece we brought onto the table. In fact, we went to a large conglomerate, the same problem, not an insurance industry, but a conglomerate, and saying, I want to use this for intelligent sourcing. So as your invoices come in, can I use those hazy invoices, mobile scans, and ability to extract information, key it into the systems of record, not just key it in, but how do I use GenAI to do a compare with the order that comes in? The order value, the terms of the value, the delivery terms, the penalty terms, all of it. How aligned is the invoice with the order that was raised? So the whole intelligent sourcing kind of a scenario. There is lots and lots to talk about on this front, but given the time constraint, I will not delve into it at this point in time. Let me move on to the next aspect, which is I'll go back to the point where I spoke about 1 billion plus cloud native applications which are going to come in over the next few years. And it is beyond our ability as an enterprise to handle these. So the complexity conundrum that is coming in is going very, very high. So while GenAI is the cause of the problem, it is also the part of the solution that gets in there, right? And which is what again, these are numbers. I'm not going to go through this is the complexity aspects. Let me pick one or two of these. 55% of the business leaders do not understand their technology spend, do not understand their spend on the cloud. Where is it going in? What is my spend efficiency? What is my unit economics across that spend? A whole lot of things are very, very complex to understand. I will straight jump to, as we deal with this new era of GenAI, how do I have GenAI powered automation to handle this complexity? And I'll just pick a few pillars of the whole automation. The banking industry has done a phenomenal work in terms of the whole fintech integration, the API banking piece. The last few years has been a dramatic change. Now, that brings in the whole level of complexity as well, right? Now, how do I bring in GenAI to help solve some elements of that complexity? How do I have a API assistant that helps you create, a GenAI assistant that helps you create APIs? That becomes the first step. The next piece that we realized was a key element that is required is testing. How do you have a GenAI powered API testing that comes in? The third element, which we realized is a big hole in the banking space and even in the insurance space, is thousands and thousands of APIs, but 70–80% of them do not have the right documentation in place. So how do I have GenAI bring in that documentation and fit the bill? Again, multiple examples. I'll move on to the IT observability side. Instana, how do I bring GenAI to bring in intelligent remediation? How do I bring in GenAI powered probable RCAs? I'm using the word probable because it's a GenAI powered probable RCA, which becomes a starting point for you to go fix it. The other aspect, as you spend significantly on the cloud, is around what we call as application resource management. As a business owner, you're responsible for two things. You're responsible for the application performance and you're responsible for cost. And these are two opposite sides of the coin. How do I have a technology platform that lets you manage both? And we run this for a large GSI over 2,000 instances on Azure. Your ability to provide resources to your application real time. So if you're running out of memory, at an extremely granular level, your ability to provide it those resources. This is on top of the auto scale typically the cloud providers give you. You are able to do a latency commit, at the same time bring in the aspect of cost control as well. Let me jump on to the last piece, just half a minute more. The whole rise of AI, quantum computing, and cloud has heightened the security concerns. And I'm proud to announce that IBM has brought in what you call as the IBM Guardium Data Security Center. And this is one platform, a single product that protects your data across the enterprise, across on-premise, across the cloud, throughout its life cycle. So on that note, thank you, gentlemen. Lovely talking to you.